There is a fear most people are too embarrassed to admit they have. Not the fear of death, not the fear of failure, not even the fear of the dark. It is quieter than those, more constant, and in many ways, more controlling. It is the fear that the people around you don't truly want you there, that you are tolerated rather than wanted, included out of politeness rather than genuine belonging, that if you disappeared tomorrow, the gap you left would close faster than you'd like to believe. Most people feel this at some point. Many feel it regularly, and almost everyone feels ashamed of feeling it, because it seems so small, so irrational, so beneath someone who is otherwise capable and functioning and fine. But here is what nobody tells you about that fear. It is not small, it is not irrational, and it is not a personal weakness you need to overcome. It is one of the oldest survival instincts your species ever developed, and it never left. To understand why, we need to go back to the moment in human history when belonging stopped being a comfort and became something else entirely, something with teeth. For the vast majority of human existence, the group was not optional, not a preference, not a lifestyle choice, not something you could opt out of and replace with solitude and self-sufficiency. It was the entire basis of survival. The group fed you when you couldn't find food alone. It protected you when a threat was too large to face by yourself. It cared for you when injury or illness made you vulnerable. It gave your children a chance to survive childhood. It stood between you and every version of the world that would have ended you. Without it, you were not simply lonely, you were exposed. And exposed, in the world your brain was built for, meant a very specific and very final kind of outcome. So your brain did what brains do when survival is at stake. It built a system designed to monitor your place within the group at all times, to detect any signal that your belonging might be at risk, to generate an alarm powerful enough that you could not ignore it. And that alarm needed to be strong enough to override almost everything else. Because in a world where exclusion meant death, the cost of missing the warning was too high. The cost of a false alarm was embarrassment. The cost of missing a real one was extinction. So evolution made the alarm loud. Louder than logic, louder than reason. Loud enough to reach you even when everything on the surface looked fine. You already know what that alarm sounds like. It sounds like the specific discomfort of walking into a room and sensing, before a single word is spoken, that something has shifted. It sounds like the hours you have spent replaying a conversation, searching for the moment you said the wrong thing. It sounds like the disproportionate weight that a single critical comment can carry against 100 kind ones. It sounds like the pull you feel toward your phone when you are waiting for a reply that is taking longer than expected. That is not insecurity. That is the social survival system running exactly the way it was designed to run. But here is the detail that changes everything. In 2003, a researcher named Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA placed people inside brain scanners and had them play a simple virtual ball-tossing game with two other players. Midway through, the other players stopped passing the ball to the participant. No explanation, no conflict, just exclusion from a game, with players who weren't even real. And the brain scans showed something that stopped the researchers cold. The regions of the brain that activated during social exclusion were the same regions that activate during physical pain. Not similar regions, not overlapping ones, the same ones. Your brain processes being left out, the same way it processes being hurt. And this was not an accident of neural architecture. It was a design decision. Because in the ancient world, physical pain existed to warn you away from things that could damage or destroy your body. And social pain existed to warn you away from behaviors that could cost you your place in the group. Different warnings, same urgency, same system. Because to your brain, both threats were equally capable of ending you. Now, hold that thought, because the research goes further. And the further it goes, the harder it becomes to think of belonging as anything other than a biological need. In 2015, researchers at Brigham Young University analyzed data from 148 studies covering more than 300,000 people. They were trying to understand the relationship between social connection and mortality. What they found was this: people with strong social connections had a 50% greater chance of survival at any given point than people who were socially isolated. And chronic loneliness, defined not as being alone but as feeling disconnected from the people around you, was found to be as damaging to physical health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Not emotionally damaging, physically damaging. To your immune system, to your cardiovascular health, to the biological processes that determine how long your body functions. Your brain does not treat the absence of belonging as an emotional problem. It treats it as a medical emergency. Because for most of human history, that is exactly what it was. And here is where the strangeness of this instinct becomes fully visible. Because the social survival system was built for a world of 150 people, a tribe small enough that everyone knew everyone, where the relationships were real and constant and physical, where belonging was confirmed not through messages or notifications, but through shared fire, shared meals, shared presence in the same physical space. That system is now operating in a world of billions, a world where you can be technically connected to hundreds of people and feel more alone than you ever have. Where your social monitoring system, calibrated for the subtle signals of 150 faces, is now trying to interpret the silence between text messages, the ambiguity of a reaction emoji, the specific anxiety of a post that received fewer responses than expected. The system is the same. The environment it is trying to read is unrecognizable. And so the alarm fires in conditions it was never designed for. It fires when a friend takes hours to reply, when a group conversation moves forward without including you, when you sense, with the particular accuracy of an ancient monitoring system, that someone's warmth toward you has shifted by a degree too small for logic to measure. You are not imagining it. You are feeling it with a precision that evolution spent hundreds of thousands of years developing. The question is only whether what you're feeling is a real signal, or the ancient system pattern matching in a world too complex for it to read accurately. And here is what makes that question so difficult to answer. Sometimes it's both. Sometimes the system fires on something real, and the accuracy is startling. You notice a shift in someone before you can explain why. You feel the temperature of a room change before anyone has said anything. You sense the beginning of a rupture in a relationship long before it becomes visible. This is the same system, running the same algorithm, just sometimes landing on something true. Because the ancient social brain was not only an alarm, it was a map, a way of reading other people with a depth and speed that no conscious analysis can fully replicate. And that map, that capacity for genuine attunement, for feeling what others feel, for knowing without being told when someone you love is carrying something heavy, that came from the same evolutionary pressure, the same need to understand the group, to maintain bonds, to know who was safe and who was suffering and what was needed. The instinct that makes belonging feel like a survival need is the same instinct that makes you capable of real intimacy, of genuine care, of the kind of presence with another person that goes beyond words. You don't get one without the other. The fear of not belonging and the capacity to truly belong are the same instinct, seen from opposite sides. Here is where I want to leave this. The next time you feel the specific, quiet dread of wondering whether you are truly wanted in a room, the next time rejection lands somewhere deeper than logic says it should, the next time you catch yourself monitoring the responses of people around you with an attention that feels involuntary, you are not being weak. You are not being needy. You are not failing at the simple task of feeling secure. You are carrying one of the oldest and most carefully developed survival systems in the entire history of your species. A system that was tested not in laboratories but in the conditions of actual human survival. That was refined across thousands of generations of people who needed each other to live. That encoded into the deepest architecture of who you are. One simple truth that your ancestors learned before anyone had words for it. You are not built for solitude. You were built for each other. And the instinct that makes belonging feel like survival is not confusion. It is memory, the oldest kind, carried not in your mind but in your cells, telling you the same thing it has always told you. You need them and they need you. And that was never weakness. That was always the point.